I'll work you out, get you right with your physical. Always just another interlude. Asking all the questions, girl, you know I don't do interviews. It's pitiful that when I'm with them other bitches, I pretend it's you. Oh, you work at Kohl's, you in dental school.
Welcome back. This is the interlude in a different format. But I'm
quarantine edition. Quarantine.
But nah, man, I'm extremely excited about what I feel like we'll be able to do with this, and the way we'll be able to get back to the people and really start giving them everything we got, man. Because I mean, we of course, we have so many conversations about all the things we want to get to them, all the content that we talk about. You froze all the all the content we have, like all the content that we listen to. There's just so much we want to get to them, and I feel like in the midst of everything going on, this is a really great way to do it. But man, it's been a little while since we actually been able to sit down and have some discussions and actually get an episode in. But man, before we even get into anything really super music related, quarantine, the world, I thought it was going to end. Honestly, bro, I don't know. Who knows?
Hey.
Everything is so uncertain right now, man. It's crazy.
Man, quarantine was different. Like, let's say around last time we recorded, I didn't even expect us to be like, I expected us to have hella episodes under our belt from the last time we recorded to now. And yeah, this is crazy. Like, but I can't say the music since quarantine has been great, bro. It's been great.
And it's like, I think the music would have been good, of course, regardless of quarantine. But I think, at least for me, quarantine has offered the opportunity to really catch more music and actually like take more time to listen to music. Because I feel like, when you just, moving around and just hustling or just like, going throughout your day to day, you can pay attention to music dropping, and you probably got albums that if you really feel like it or really care about, you'll take time to listen to. But it's so easy for albums to get lost in rotation. It's so easy to listen to an album once and never go back to it because more music comes out, or you just not busy, or you just like are busy and you don't have time between, albums dropping to really give something. So it's been great because I know I'm trying to think quarantine started middle of March. We've been
early March for shit.
So like
official middle March, but like, let's say if you left and went wherever to your destination, you've been trapped pretty much at that end of March.
Yeah. I mean, we going on 2 months. It's beginning the middle of May now. So, but there's so much music that's dropped then. But I mean, I think how differently are you listening to music? Like, I know for me, I have way more time to give albums second and third listens within a week. And so like I'll listen to a project or an album when it comes out. I might let it sit for like a couple days, like 2-3 days, probably go back to it again. Then I'll probably let it sit for a little, same time or a little bit longer. And I try to listen to it a few times within the span of like 2 weeks, just so it can be fresh, but I can also not be hearing it back to back and hear other music in between it, just so I can kind of know, like, go back, do certain songs stick out more the second time, or does the sound of the album stick out more the second time? So things like that. But how are you listening to music differently?
I'm pretty much doing that as far as like, do the sound stick out? What's intricate about this track? Like, say if it's a full-fledged album that I've heard before, but like my music selectiveness at that time probably made me establish, I like this song better than this one, or I like this that one. Like, kind of go back and basically kind of look through the unique songs that I probably went over. Definitely allow me to go back and just discover like a lot of these samples for a lot of tracks. You know what I'm saying? There's some of my favorite songs and stuff like that. That's been pretty much dope for me. And like, I've also been pulling music from a lot of from film, TV shows, movies, documentaries, like music. As far as that point, it's been like, like from just watching shows, I then fell into a lane of some dance tracks. I done fell into some folk rock. Like, my taste has been crazy. It's been everywhere. So
yeah, no, man. I mean, that's it, and it's crazy because I think I know it was something I was doing before, but I think it's something I've been paying more attention to now, like being in quarantine, like because you're watching way more shows now. Like you have a chance to really sit down and watch way more like television than a lot of
Yeah.
people are accustomed to. So you're hearing a lot more just for the simple fact that you're watching so much more. I mean, even when I told you like I was watching when I was finally watching Euphoria a couple weeks ago, I had no idea the soundtrack was like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there watching the episodes like, oh,
Soundtrack like that, bro. Soundtrack
songs like every 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, I could get with that. But and I added a few songs like this Labyrinth song I added. There's a few other tracks from there that just it's not even, and I'm just glad I'm kind of like opening my my ears, like my palette of music, because like Labyrinth is not like of course I know who Labyrinth is just from his association with The Weeknd, really, or a couple tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I had never really listened to him by himself or individually, so listening to him more. Just kind of like it's different sounds. And it's just different. It just shows you how many different moods and vibes are in music. But even The Last Dance though, like the soundtrack for The Last Dance is
Hey, soundtrack for The Last Dance is top tier.
is a
Like that joint is top tier. I ain't gonna fake. I think my favorite one though. My favorite episode had to be the Outcast. Just opening up with the Outcast.
when I heard it, I was like, I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
no, but when they play, when they had them dropping 63 on Boston and LL Cool J, I was like, listen. I said, listen, bro, this is different.
They didn't have some burners in there, man. They definitely had some burners in there.
I'm saying, so yeah, but no, I mean, it's crazy, like just the like where we're even finding music, like between like outside of TV shows and outside of documentaries. I mean, I've been finding more and more like actual like radio shows like through Apple Music and stuff like that, and just playlists on like Apple Music too. Like I'm an Apple.
What's your go-to podcast that you're listening to right now?
See, I don't. The funny thing is, I don't listen to a lot of music podcasts. Funny enough, I mean, I try to catch Joe Budden and them as much as I can. I don't really like. I don't even know how many other like really music podcasts are out there. All the podcasts I watch personally are like sports podcasts, and even then, like they talk about music, but it doesn't feature music as much.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But even then, you know, because like I watch All the Smoke mostly, like that's my
All the Smoke.
And so, but they also have a diversity of guests. So even when they had Snoop on there, it was like extremely interesting to hear Snoop's perspective of music in LA, really, but have it still correlate to sports and how like, especially in that town, like all those things kind of like intersect. You know what I'm saying? So that was dope. But I'm surprisingly, I'm not really listening to music podcasts like that. Oddly enough, I don't know why. What about you?
Okay. Not so much music podcasts, you know, just touching into anything else that I'm passionate about. I'm watching a lot of film podcasts. And shoot, I've been watching so much Spike Lee. The thing that he highlight the most is the soundtrack. That score, like, your score just got to be flawless for like you that just really have a, like, for example, the score for the soundtrack for Queen and Slim.
Yeah. Oh.
Like top tier, bro.
Top tier.
Top tier, bro. So that's pretty much kind of what I've been listening to. As far as if it's kind of to do with the music podcast, just something in that lane. But yeah. What's your creativity level right now, man? Like how you feeling?
Like right now, it's extremely high. Like as of today, like it's extremely high. But I mean, but no, I think like when quarantine started, I think what hurt, and I think it took a while for me to even realize that like it was something that actually did hurt. But like going into quarantine, like we were in such a groove where we were finally kind of getting a rhythm of actually done, and we had like really big plans for like the summer. Then I had like other personal projects going on too that were really starting to gain traction. So I felt like I just had all momentum, and then quarantine happened. It's just like everything had to stop because it was a huge adjustment to can't go nowhere. Then like as soon as just staying at home or came down, it was like, okay, people really like, you know, if we going somewhere, like it's an essential place, you know, you gotta wear a mask, like you can't be linking with everybody. And then on top of that, a lot of people went home or, you know, like went to whatever destination. So it was just really hard. And I think it was a shock first. It wasn't like, you know, the things people are doing now in terms of like being able to record through Zoom and all the other things people have came up with. They've always been there, but I think that initial shock of, dang, like we in the house, like we ain't. I don't think anybody in our generation, or even the generations before us, for real, have experienced something of this magnitude, to where like you don't really control what you can do as far as like where you can go, and like you don't have the freedom of doing that anymore. And I think that was for me at least, it was a huge kind of culture shock from just figuring that out and being like, damn, okay, like, so now what I do. And it took a while to kind of, and for I did intentionally try to relax, like for a couple of weeks. I even said like the first month, relax in the sense of like not feel like I need to be doing anything, not feel like I need to be trying to make up something or come up with an alternative for something. Just kind of accept the moment for what it was, and just kind of like take the breather. Like, I think a lot of people were so stuck on what we should be doing. It's like we kind of have opportunity to just sit back for a minute. Like, it don't mean you got to be inactive, but like take some time for real, just to understand where you at in the situation, how you feel, make sure your family is good. So I did that, and then after a while, just that you just start kind of flowing again in terms of thinking of things you can do, thinking of ways to just keep honing your craft, because that's one thing you definitely can't be doing in quarantine, is mastering or honing, like
mastering your craft, boy.
Anything you're passionate about, you can be doing that. So it just kind of started from there. Then I kind of started getting back into the the planning mode, to kind of like road mapping things. And so from there, as of today, whether it's us, whether it's like other personal projects, I'm definitely at a point now where I'm in a mindset of, okay, I'm in more of the mindset now to get back to these things and kind of get back to that grind. And I mean, like school's about to end, so finish with that first year of grad school, get that out the way.
My boy,
look, gotta stay there. 1 year down, one more to go. So I mean, just like prioritizing, man. Like sticking on top of school, but also knowing that let me get this done first. I can start planning, so then as soon as school's done, I can hop right into doing what I feel I need to, doing what I want to do.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's man. And when you speaking of like to ask the question of creativity, like that's where I'm at. That's like kind of really how I feel. That first half of quarantine definitely was like, bro, that shit, something's gotta give, bro. Something gotta give. And then it really took me to like make them, like just you said, like I got to make them decisions. Like, all right, this is the world right now, but what did I really want before all of it happened? What did I want out of the world? And it took me to like readjust that and like reset and just sit and think and just be like, you know what? I'm gonna plan properly. I'm gonna invest in this. I'm gonna do that. So I'm in quarantine, and I can come out a little bit, with my feet running. You know what I'm saying? Hit the ground running hard. And I got I'm about to be a graduate finally. This has been a journey, and just to know that I'm at that door. And like just to been doubtful for so long, it's just finally here. It's like, man, I'm making sure I take the proper steps. So when I walk out that door, I'm not walking into the world of just being hit by a million bricks and not knowing how to adjust. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro. Yeah.
Really just make a smooth transition into what like I'm passionate about and really want to do. So I've been making them sacrifices right now, man. Anything that I need to study as far as like me being a better person of what I'm passionate about, I'm locked in about it. Like you said, Interlude, just us really taking that time where we had to, take, and my personal projects, really like my investments and like my sacrifices and what I'm putting into them right now. Yeah, bro, that's kind of how I'm feeling. Like the juices is at all time out right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy, bro. I was talking with Miles the other day, and it's funny because I was somewhere in the conversation, we were talking about like, she asked when I graduated, I think, and I told her next May. And in the midst of me answering that question, I said, yeah, I'm about ready to leave Columbia, and she started clapping. And it was funny. It was funny because she, when I stayed for grad school and when I took that semester off, she thought she thought like, as of right now, I was getting really comfortable being here. And I told her, I was like, it's not, I mean, I guess comfortable would be the right word, because I'm not content or like settled here, but I just understood where I needed to be for that time. Like, so, so just speaking to being prepared for not being hit, like when you step into the real world, when you just step into that next phase of life, not being hit with, or not having all the obstacles you're going to face be able to like deter you or like truly stop you. I think the last like year and a half for me, like really ever since graduation, has been extremely formative in the sense of like figuring out like, all right, who am I? Like, I feel like a lot of people have to figure out who they are as they are in, you know, that next phase,
Mm-hmm.
as they're taking on their first job, like moving. In the midst of all that, they still really figuring out like who they are. I feel like I kind of had
Facts.
the blessing of being able to do it in a city, like at least in a city, or at least an environment where I was still relatively comfortable, and I didn't have the necessarily like worries or concerns of the actual world yet. But it was enough to where I knew I needed to get my shit together. You know what I'm saying? So that and it went so much further than I realized it would at the time. And I mean, it's just kind of really built as time goes on. But yeah, that's extremely important, just to know and to be self-aware and to understand where you are and where you need to be for whatever that next phase in life is, for sure.
Definitely. So what you what tunes you spending right now during quarantine? Like what you spending a lot?
Man, I'm all over the place, bro. And I'm glad I'm all over the place, because I jump. I mean, I usually listen to every new project, like just because.
I've been taking my time with it, man. Like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
project that
man.
dropped, I haven't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know Tory has dropped. I didn't tap into Tory. I tapped into some of the songs, but I haven't tapped into all of it. You and I discussed the Drake. I tapped into that, but I didn't go back and run it like all the way through. Like I've been patient with so many drops that
Yeah.
it's many more that I know that I'm missing, but I kind of just been patient as far as a mainstream sense. And I kind of slid in the back of like people. I wouldn't even want to call them underground. They just untapped potential right now, and their potential probably is tapped. They're not getting the means of like being heard. But I've been doing that, man. Like been on a lot of locals, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been the thing about taking your time, I can appreciate, because I know for me, I never I don't I've stopped trying to rush to make an opinion on a project, especially after first listen, or especially after seeing what people say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all you see on Twitter is people are like almost grading the album or judging it, you know, track by track as they listen. And it's just like music wasn't really made to be consumed like that. Like, so it's like, you know, you let it ride. Okay, you can have an initial opinion. I mean, I ain't saying nobody can't tweet. You do what you want to do. But just from a standpoint of, I know how I'm approaching it, it's like, you know, I'll let a project ride the first time. All right, cool. I usually, like, I won't add the album yet. I'll let it ride once, and I won't add it, because to me, it's like, if I can think about it again, or if I do think about it again, then one, I know something resonate with me. Then when I go back and listen the second time, then I may add specific songs, or I may add the whole project, you know, if I fuck with it. But so outside of new projects, I've been going back. Like, I know I recently went back and I went back and let Wild That's Crazy run back a couple more times. Definitely have a deeper appreciation for the album, just from letting time go by. Like, I think I hadn't listened to it since maybe it dropped, like maybe, you know,
Damn.
October, November. At least not in its full. Like, I probably ran Sue Me back a couple times, but other than that, I hadn't let the whole project ride. But I had more appreciation after hearing it all the way through, because you just, like I said, you need time in between, like, to see if certain bars still resonate with you, to see if you can appreciate the sound more and stuff like that. And I mean, we've had conversations about Wale as an artist and him deserving his flowers, but that album is so carefully crafted. Now, I think a lot of people overlook that, like, just how carefully crafted the album was, and that probably, honestly, for the first time, Wale's in a space where he probably feels like he can create music and doesn't really care about
We love to see it.
You do,
we love to see it.
And a lot of people, because then even when the conversation came up about him and Travis, it was like, I think a lot of people got stuck in the hierarchy of music, or rap even, and we're too concerned with trying to figure out who kind of fit in that top 5, as opposed to really looking at them as artists. I don't think you can compare them as artists, but in the same breath, I think people got so focused on trying to choose one that they were discrediting what the other could do, like, on both sides. You know what I'm saying? So, like, all the people that were saying, of course, it's Travis over Wale, I'm like, well, let's not acknowledge that Wale is probably one of the coldest lyricists
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like from a pure skill of rapping standpoint,
Poet of a poet standpoint.
Yeah, he has to have that credit, but you also can't discredit Travis's sound and that and
production value
and the effect that he's had on music in that capacity. Because I think I would assume everybody would understand or at least admit to Wale being the better rapper. I think people would probably agree that Travis is the better artist or probably versatile, and that's fair. And both those statements can be true. But I've never really been a huge fan of comparison, especially in situations like that where those are two completely different.
In a different, it's like they're under the genre of hip hop. Like this was a discussion I had. It's like they're in the genre of hip hop, but their sounds, it's like you really can't compare their sounds because we know Wale try to make a track like Travis. Not saying if he was to make or if he can or can't. That's not the point of where we're getting at. It's just like each of them have their lanes. So respectfully, you're not going to take them out their lane and try to what I'm saying, battle them against each other. It's like he's not in that class of hip hop. As far as if you was to put it in the boxing sense, he's not in that class. Not saying one is a heavyweight, lightweight. He's just not in that class.
And that's okay. I think a lot of people,
and that's perfectly like. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make this person better than that person or anyone. Because honestly, I would love to see what type of sound that could actually create if they sat down and invested on a sound like, hey yo, let's do a collab and see what would come from it. You know what I'm saying? If Wale was just to be able to do his Wale shit, talk his shit, and Travis was to just like, look, I'm just gonna throw my ad libs in, probably give a bar, but this sound it's gonna hit, it's gonna go crazy. I think that's where we need to take more of the initial appreciation. And also like I've been seeing hot takes on it where they've been saying Travis, Wale can't do this, make this type of song. This song is not better than. Please, a lot of them takes, they gotta stop because I seen one of them. It was like Lotus Flower Bomb is not better than. I think it was like, I don't want to say it was 90210 or it was some. I know they named like 3 of Wale hits, and they was like, Travis don't have this. Y'all can't do that. If y'all never heard the full discography of the artist,
and I think that's a lot of things. People base these arguments in hearing one side and not the other. Like if you just mess with an artist more, cool. Or if you just never listened to an artist before, cool. But in a way, like if you're gonna have a music conversation, either acknowledge that or just leave it be. Because it's impossible to have an unbiased conversation if you haven't listened to both discographies and be able to compare catalogs. Because you can compare catalogs from people in 2 different lanes as long as you understand what's all being considered in this comparison and maybe what the goal of the comparison is. But I mean, the music hot takes that's gonna happen. Like, people, and I think the thing is, I think people just listen to music differently and people consume music differently. And you can see that in the takes they have and the perspectives they have on artists' albums. I mean, this all started with the whole little meme. And I think because it was 5 names, or was it 4? It was Drake, Kendrick.
That was 4.
It was Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Travis, and Wale, and they was moving Wale, right? I think that's what it was. Yeah,
I believe I believe so. I don't want to speak verbatim, but I know around that list those were the names that was on there. I know Drake was on there for sure.
And that, but I think what's messed up though is because I think in a lot of people's minds, like that's probably your top 5, maybe
in the rap game right now.
Maybe I'm assuming because I'm trying to figure out what else would be the basis of putting all of them there. What I will say is though, all of them pretty much have the same longevity, and by longevity, I don't mean longevity of success. I mean longevity of actually being in the game. They all came in around the same time and all pretty much kind of rose to where they are at about the same
respectively time. Yeah, same time.
So I think that's why their names was there. I don't know. I mean,
Travis really entered around 11, 12 era.
Yeah.
And Cole and them. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Cole
that's about it.
Both about 09, 10 for real. 10 really. Kendrick was 11 when he like really kind of started
gained the buzz. Yeah, when he really gained the buzz.
Yeah.
Because, you know, diehard Kendrick fans.
Yeah. He had projects.
No, it was 2009 and 2000. All right,
bro. Everybody don't know that Kendrick Lamar EP, and that's okay.
Exactly. That's okay.
It's cool. It's fine.
We
bro.
go back, listen to it, and like enjoy the appreciation. You know, a rapper that I've went back to lately, and I loved him when he was doing his mixtape days. And his sound is really just buzzed differently. But Mick Jenkins, I went back to Mick Jenkins' old mixtape projects, and bruh, like they were so like when I was in high school, I really used to listen because I loved like backpack rappers, underground. I loved them, and at that time, like Mick Jenkins, his sound was just like, oh, this nigga jazzy. Like this is a real. It's like a jazzy rap. Like it was real good. And then the fast forward and listen to it now, I'm like, oh yeah, bro,
yeah. I ain't listening.
The boy Isaiah dropped, man.
He did, man. Here's my like with Zay. It's like I don't know, like I just want the album at this point. And it's not to say I don't care about what he releases before, but I'm just ready to see where he's at. Like anything else I get will be cool, but it's like I just really want to see where you are in terms of album mode. Like what space you're in terms of sound, you know, what your subject matter, what you're talking about. It's been 4 years since your last project. So where you at in life? Like what you rapping for at this point? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I want to know and hear from him. But he did drop. I liked it. I mean, bro, there's just so much music, you know what I'm saying? So it's just hard. Like I don't stay on one artist or album really for too long because I don't know, there's just so much music to consume, and I'm always just kind of trying like not to miss stuff, but I'm also just trying to make sure like I'm appreciating like the music just as much as well. So for me, I don't really like until the album comes out, like I'm not, because everybody gonna drop singles or just Lucy's or whatever, which they can be cool, but you know, like especially for an album, I mean a person like Zay, who, you know, I'm a, you know, real big fan of. I just want the album just to see where you at. Like the Lucy's is cool, and you know, but I've been anticipating the album for I don't know if it's a year yet, but it's been a while. He's been kind of hinting at one for a while.
What was his last take? What was his last album? Was it a 17 or was it a 16?
No, it was 16 because he dropped the same day as Birds.
Shit, it's been that long. It's been 4 years since we had a Zay tape.
Bro, I'm saying like it happens, bro. It's weird. It's extremely weird. It happens though. Like, but
I believe that's very disrespectful, Isaiah.
But no, the biggest thing that's been helping me, you know, like listen to new music or just kind of go back and listen to music. Of course, man, the versus battles, bro, like they legendary, like legendary, man. Honestly, like we gotta talk about those. We gotta talk about all of them. So then now we can start talking about the new ones when they come out. But yeah, man, they like just, man, the impact of them, like let's just start there. Like how it changes everything. And I think especially the consumption of music, especially the appreciation of music, I don't think we would have ever got anything remotely close to this, you know, without quarantine. And just from a standpoint of really being able to appreciate like some of these artists and what they've done for music and how long they've been in music and like just how many people like they've either helped or interacted with or just worked with in the music industry. Like we didn't have artists to producer to songwriter. So it's just like, they've been great, man. But I mean, I guess the first question I'll ask is, give me your top three. Give me your top three.
Top three out of the verses.
In order from 3 to 1.
Ooh. Okay, I have to say, so far, honestly, my favorite, I'm gonna have to go with the neo soul route. I'm gonna say Badu and Jill Scott. I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna say one, and the reason that I like theirs first because it was the start off of it. It was a respect to each other. You know what I'm saying? And that right there, that was great. I'm gonna
Hey,
have this say.
yeah, man, they had a different aura about
It
them.
was, hey, yeah, it was like
It was just a
you,
completely different vibe, man.
bruh. I'm gonna say my second one was I'm gonna have to say Swizz Beats and Timberland.
Fair,
Um,
very fair.
I want to know on your take after this, who you think won.
Oh, we gonna get into that. We gonna get into that.
All right.
After I get my top three, we gonna get into that. That's cool.
And then for my third one, I'm gonna have to say it was so many.
Yeah.
Manny Fresh and Scott Storch. I think that battle, going back and thinking about it a lot, that battle was really that was a good battle. And I
First
think a
off,
lot of
Manny Fresh is
people,
petty. Let's just start there. Petty as hell.
yeah. I think a lot of people threw Scott a bone in that one, but Manny was definitely coming with it, bro. Like
Oh,
Manny was coming with it. So those got to be my top three. What about you?
no, Manny is the culture for sure. I think that was an example. That was an example of a battle where I think Scott Storch just had the bigger hits, but Manny had cultural hits. And a lot of people argue not Scott Storch's credibility per se, but more so how responsible, was he for some of those tracks, and like how, like if you were part of it in general, do you get the credit for it? Like, because if he didn't fully produce, I don't think he fully produced a lot of those songs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of got that there. But let's see, I'll go 3-1. Third for me, like that, like Badu and Jill is third for me. Not because it's bad by any means, but for them, they automatically, because I really already had my top two, and they just finished the three for me because, like you said, the love, and not that there haven't been. Well, all my battles like kind of had the same thing, so that's one thing. But like the love there and the respect, and just the fact that I don't think people really kind of had an understanding and respect for how long both of them have been doing this and how long they've been able to make good music. Everybody's not able to make good music for a long period of time. And that, I don't know if that speaks more so to artists as much as it might speak to genre, but that's just not something you see often, especially in singers. Singers, for whatever odd reason, especially as performers, don't last long usually, but they have. So they're three for me. Two for me is T-Pain and Lil Jon. That was probably the most entertaining battle for sure. But same thing with both of them, man. There was an automatic respect, and again, I think like even Lil Jon's story about some cut and how that came about, like it's small stuff like that that not every battle gives you. I think, and I think for both of them, the same thing where I don't think people, if not T-Pain, I don't think people realize how big of a role Lil Jon played, especially like in that Atlanta movement as well. So that's two for me. And then one for me is Neo and Jonta Austin, man.
Oh man.
That battle, bro. I mean, I think what I liked about it was the fact that even though in Neo's case, like it was a lot of his own songs which he wrote, but like as a songwriter's battle, there's a lot of respect there for you, like, because I don't think songwriters get a lot of credit to begin with, especially in the sense of when you like writing songs for like singers or vocalists. But that battle was my favorite.
Definitely was probably one of the most classy.
Oh, for sure. Well, for sure, classy. But yeah, I mean, but even then, like they all like Neo had some very big hits that were not his. And Jonta had some huge hits as well. But between the respect, between the longevity, things like that, and all three of those battles have very memorable memes or gifts that come from them. So definitely will be remembered for a long time.
Hey, Versus been pulling up with all the memes. So, all right, from your three that you named, who were the winners?
And Neo and Jonta, I think I want to say it was Jonta. It was Jonta. I think Jonta had a little bit of an advantage that he didn't have a lot of his own music, of course. To me personally, I also just think I would have to go back and, matter of fact, I got the playlist.
Honestly, I feel like Jonta could have won that if he would have put some more Mariah hits up there.
So why do you think Jonta didn't win?
And Neo was coming. Neo really was coming with it, bro. Like, hey, bro, he was pulling out some heat. And I'm not saying Jonta didn't, but Jonta could have he could have pushed the edge out. Really, I feel like personally, he could have pushed the edge out. On if you go and sit and look at all his actual works that he's had, he could have buried Neo.
I don't know, bro, because I'm trying to think. Jonta, I think Jonta just had bigger songs. Like Jonta got an Aaliyah song. He had. I don't want to buy Aaliyah. I think he had 2 or 3 Mariahs. Cause didn't Neo have a Mariah too?
Neo had he had some Beyonce. He had some Rihanna.
They both had a Chris Brown song.
Yeah, they definitely both had Chris Brown.
But whoever had Poppin' probably winning the Chris Brown. I think it was Jonta. I think Jonta.
I know Jonta had Run It and Can't Help But Wait.
Yeah, it was close, but I think you really had to go, because then like what criteria you been going off of for winners? Because have you been going off of round for round? Have you been going off of who has put the best, like, kind of like playlist, if you will?
I kind of feel like it's kind of both. It's like when you go with your round, you have to balance. You really gotta judge it by, all right, what they start off with, what they coming out the gate with. That round one, what they playing. Some might be passive, and some might like, look, this is what I'm coming out with. And also, like, okay, this was your round one. The next round, say if you lost, what's your comeback? Or say if you won that, what you continuing with? So it's not just for me. It's not like, okay, this is they playing it like this, and like you gotta put it in. For me, you gotta put it in a hot ass playlist form. These are my burners, and this is what I feel like is the best. So I'm gonna come off with this, and then I'm gonna just let it ride down my whole catalog, and I sit back and be like, he definitely came with it.
Yeah, I think, and I was having this conversation. I think the strategy of the order you play your songs in is extremely important, because I think, especially when you're talking about 2 artists or 2 whoever whose catalogs are very deep, I think it comes down to, out of your entire catalog, which 20 are you gonna pick, and then on top of that, how are you gonna play your 20? Because if we going round by round, do you start big, cool off, and then end big? Do you gradually get to a point where you just throwing banger after banger? Like, what is your strategy, if any, in terms of playing your 20? And I don't know if a lot of artists are even looking at it from that perspective, because a lot of them aren't necessarily looking at it from a competition standpoint, which is fine. But for us, I think that's the main 2 things I've been looking at. But yeah, I think Jonta edged Neo on that one for me. Neo didn't get. I know a lot of people were saying Neo got washed. I don't believe that personally at all.
Nah, hell no, it wasn't a wash.
But it was. No. But I personally think Jonta edged him out a little bit. For T-Pain and Lil Jon, I don't know, because
I think that went.
John played some cut though, so I don't know.
That went like when I watched that battle, I don't feel like nobody really could have came out of that and been like, that was the winner right there.
I honestly feel like it was a tie. I feel like nobody could be mad at it being a tie.
Nah, not at all.
You could go round for round and debate if you want to, but
that was really
I really think they both won 10 rounds. I really think they both won 10 rounds. Honestly,
pound for pound, like, you got to make your unanimous decision. You got to. That's how it came down to me. It wasn't a knockout fight, and that to me, like, when you put it in that sense, if you was going it off the base, like, what was the best so far, not personally your favorites, that would have to be like, this is how the verse is supposed to be structured. Because that Babyface and Teddy Riley, yeah, bro. But I
think I'm only mad because the original didn't happen. Because, and the thing is, like, I guess I get I didn't like what Teddy was doing from jump because before the original one, he was doing a lot to begin with. But that was a good battle. I got Babyface winning that one, but Teddy Riley definitely wasn't nothing to sleep at. Definitely had some tracks there for sure.
Thanks.
I think that was R&B at its finest, man. Honestly, so that was in the production credits they both have. It's just ridiculous, honestly. But and what they're responsible for is ridiculous. Let's see. I got Badu winning her and Scott for sure. Her and Jill Scott. I got Badu winning that. Badu just like Jill has great songs, but Badu just has hits and classics on top of each other. Like it's hard, bro. Like everything is a burner, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, bro.
And she was coming with it, bro. Like it wasn't like I think for me, what gave me Badu over the edge as well. Like she started turning it up. Like she started turning it into exactly what it was. Like, all right, we got all that out the way. This what it is. This what I got.
Which was crazy.
To me, that turned me up. That was like, okay, yeah, Badu is exactly how we imagine, how she give interviews. If you listen to her track,
yeah,
she ain't here to play, bro.
And what's crazy is like what I appreciate about both was that